Hi, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to The Wandering Reader. Today I'm going to be doing a review of The Dark Circle by Linda Grant. This is the second book that I've read from the Bailey's Prize shortlist for 2017, and I'm going to share my thoughts with you about it here. So this book is set just after the Second World War in London and Kent, and it mainly focuses around two characters called Lenny and Miriam. They are twins, and at the beginning of the book they're kind of like late teenagers, and they both develop tuberculosis and are sent to a sanatorium in Kent in order to receive treatment, but also so that they can be isolated from the rest of society. It's very clear at the beginning of the book that they don't want to go to this sanatorium, mainly because it is in Kent, and they have made it very clear that they don't like the countryside from when they were evacuated to the countryside during the Second World War. But they go because they have to. And at the sanatorium they meet a whole host of other people, and the main bit of the book focuses around how this sanatorium works, the people that are in the sanatorium, and then it talks about kind of like life at that particular time. So it's a snapshot of Britain post-war. I like this book an awful lot more than I did First Love by Gwendolyn Riley. I really didn't like that book at all. It wasn't a good way to start my read of the Bailey's Prize shortlist for this year. But yeah, I liked this an awful lot more. The story was interesting. I liked reading about what sanatoriums were like. I've never really read anything about them before, didn't know an awful lot about how they worked. It was interesting reading about some of the sort of archaic, I don't know whether that's the right word, but yeah, sort of archaic medicinal practices to try and cure a disease like tuberculosis. So yes, it was interesting reading about how the medical profession were trying to deal with that at the time. It kind of delves a little bit into politics of post-war Britain. But I think the main thing that I liked about this book were the cast of characters. Lenny and Miriam are from the East End of London, and they are very much working class, and they're Jewish working class as well. And the people that they meet in the sanatorium are from a whole host of different walks of life. You've got sort of ex-captains from the war, you've got sort of rich upper class women, you've got people who went to private school and lived a very different life from Lenny and Miriam, but having the disease brings them together. And kind of forces them to have these relationships. I use the word force, but they kind of fall into them quite easily, and it's a good example of how post-war Britain was trying to become a society that was a lot more tolerant and a lot more mixed, with kind of the class boundaries more blurred, and things like that. And this is a good example of how that was working. I liked Linda Grant's writing. I thought she wrote really well. Her strength is definitely storytelling, but as well, because she's writing historical fiction, there was an awful lot of research that went into this. And if I remember correctly, in her acknowledgements at the back, she talks about interviewing people who kind of went to sanatoriums that were similar and had tuberculosis when they were younger, around the time that she set this novel. So I think, yeah, her strength is definitely her research and her storytelling. She's not kind of flowery in her description and things like that, but she is a good writer, and I did really appreciate this novel. So it is one that I would recommend. I think in the end I ended up giving it something like 3.5 stars. Did enjoy it, did think it was good, and I would recommend it. So there you go guys, that was my review of The Dark Circle by Linda Grant. Have you read this? What are your thoughts on it? I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.